Today is Tuesday, July 10th, 2007. My name is Eliot and Bernstein. I'm visiting with Milton Pivar and Jerry Lewis. We're going to talk about their backgrounds and the background of a very, very important institution in the Milwaukee Jewish community, all as part of the video history project of the Milwaukee Jewish Historical Society. Milt, why don't we start with you and just find out a little bit about you, your full name, and when and where you were born, and tell us something about your family.
You bet. Full name is Milton Pivar. I was born in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I'm 78 years old, and I have two lovely daughters. One daughter lives in California, named Cheryl Pivar, and I have a daughter, Linda Hopkins, in Milwaukee, who has three lovely children, and I got a terrific son-in-law. And I work at Goldmann's department store for every day, 6 days a week, hustling, selling clothes.
How long have you worked at Goldmann?
I started there. My father worked in Goldmann's, so I started there when I was 12 years old. I used to take the bus after school. We lived on the northwest side, and we went to, on the evenings after school, I took the bus down, and I worked in straightening pants, and at that time this tailor shop was on the second floor, so I used to run up and down with carry the pants up and down from the tailor shop, and finally, after a number of years doing that, I earned my tape line, so I could walk around tape line measuring people and become a salesperson.
Would you like to tell us about your marriage?
I was married to a lovely lady. Her maiden name was Rosine, Carol Rosine. She passed away about 15 years ago. Her folks, she lived in Milwaukee. I met her in Milwaukee. Her folks had a grocery store on 14th and North called Roosevelt Foods. Their father's his name was they were Schumachers. And we had a lovely marriage, and I lost a wonderful lady.
And did you remarry?
No, I did not remarry. Right now, after my wife passed away, for about 6 or 7 years, I became very intimate, almost like a hermit. I went to work and came home. I didn't want to get involved in anything. And now, for the last 7 years, I'm dating a woman. We're going out quite regularly.
Does the name Pivar have any special meaning?
Well, I was told it meant, in Polish it meant beer. I was told, it used to be, originally I hear it was P-I-V-O-V-A-R. It meant Piva. So they told me it's beer, but I'm not a beer drinker, so I can't tell you.
When was the change made, do you know?
I have no idea. I'm sure it had to be before the 1900s, way before.
Jerry, why don't you give us a little background? First, I have to have a qualifying statement. Jerry is related to me. My mother was a Lewis, and we had a very, very close family. So why don't you tell us something about you, your family, and so forth.
Okay, my real name is Jerome Lewis. Naturally, it's Jerry. Okay, Eliot knew my name was Jerome. I'm 78 years old. I have two boys, 145, 149. They both live in Milwaukee, in Mequon. My youngest boy has remarried, and I'm about to have my first grandchild.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I think it's due in August, and I'm really looking forward to it. I came to Goldmann's department store. I married Milt's sister, Lita. Lita and I were married for 26 years. We had the two boys. I married in 1956, and in 1957, Milt's father, Sam, said, why don't you come in to Goldman's with me? At that time, he leased the men's department there. So I said that is fine, and I talked it over with my father. I was with my father at that time. He had a tavern on 24th and State,
What was the name of the tavern?
Archie's Tap Room.
So your father's name was Archie, right?
My father's name was Archie, yeah. My father was a milkman almost all his life with Sunshine Dairy, which Eliot's parents owned. My father, I remember, he was the foreman of the trucks. And I remember a lot about the dairy. It was on Winnebago Street, and I'm sure the freeway goes through there now.
That was in the old Pabst buildings on 11th and McKinley and near Winnebago, yes.
That was 11th
Yes.
and McKinley?
In fact, those are the buildings that are still standing, and they're the laboratories. They were the laboratories for the Pabst Brewery later.
Now, what was the name of it?
Sunshine Dairy.
Sunshine Dairy.
Yeah.
And later became Jersey Dairy.
Yes,
Okay,
correct.
okay.
They sold Jersey cream line milk. People were very proud of having a lot of fat in the milk. Did your the name Lewis, which was also my mother's maiden name, have any special meaning, or was that the name when the family came to this country?
I'm not sure. I know my father's name was always Lewis. That wasn't changed. Now, his father before him, his father's name was Nathan. I don't know if he came over as Lewis or he changed it.
So your grandfather, who was my great uncle,
Yes.
was Nathan, or we knew him as Nuchem, right?
Nuchem, that is right. Yeah.
And your grandmother was Rochelea.
Yeah, I remember.
How many members were there in your dad's family?
In my dad's family, now this will take me a minute. It's 3 sisters and 1 brother.
You were related to the
Blumenthals
and the Pillais.
and to the Pillais, yeah. My father's sister married Dr. Louis Blumenthal. He was a dentist. My father's other sister married Hyman Pillais. He was in the clothing business, Pillais Men's Shop. One of their sons is Gilbert. Earl has passed away. Yeah, they had 2 boys. My dad had a brother, Barney, who died a young man. I think he had a sudden heart attack. He was probably in his 30s or 40s. Died a young man.
So you're also related to Sandy Zetley
Yes, yeah.
and Marilyn Zetley.
Yeah.
Was Marilyn Lewis.
Was Marilyn Lewis, yeah. Marilyn Lewis would be my second cousin. Sandy would be my first cousin.
Do either of you gentlemen know how your families got here?
I don't know. I remember my dad. Sorry, let me shut this off. Okay.
The question was, if you recall, do you remember how your families got here, or who brought them here?
I really don't know. I know my father came here as a very, very young man, and he started peddling on his, carried brooms and soft goods, peddling on his back from door to door. And he was in the Navy in the First World War, and he was in here. He was in the United States Navy. And after he got out, he went into the clothing. He was in the clothing business before he went into the Navy with his brother, my uncle Joe Pivar, and they started Pivar Brothers. But I do not know how they came here.
When did they move that business into Goldmann?
Well, originally there was Pivar Brothers had a store on 3rd Street. The address, still remember the address, 744 North 3rd Street, and there was one on Fond du Lac Avenue, 1943 West Fond du Lac Avenue. And at that time, we also had Goldman's, so we had two freestanding stores and a lease department. And we broke partnership, has to be about, you've been in the store how long? 50,
I've been in the store 50 years exactly.
We broke partnership probably about 55 years ago, and my father kept Goldman's, and he kept that part of the business, and my uncle took the two stores, one on 3rd Street and one on Fond du Lac Avenue. And then they moved from 3rd Street, he moved a little further north, he built a building, and then later on they closed one on Fond du Lac Avenue, and they both closed.
Jerry, do you remember how your father and mother's family got here?
As much as I can remember, I'm not sure if it's my father or my mother had relatives in Cleveland, and they came up with the money to sponsor them to bring either my father or my mother over.
Do you know your mother's maiden name?
Bookstaff. Yeah, my mother's maiden name is Bookstaff. She had two brothers. There was Louis Bookstaff, Eddie Bookstaff. She had a sister, Rose Siegel. She had another sister, Hilda Levine or Levin. Another sister of Annabelle Drogi, Annabelle Drogi. Yeah, I believe that was all. Yeah.
Where did your mother come from in Europe?
Lithuania. She was the only Litvak in the family.
As opposed to what in the family? They were all what? Where did they come from?
Russia.
Russia.
They all came from Russia. So yeah.
So your mother spoke with a Litvak accent.
Absolutely.
An accent.
Yeah. She always had that accent. Yeah.
Well, my mother was born right here in Milwaukee.
Yes.
She went to South Division High School, and she had 6 sisters and a brother. And they're all there's only one sister left. That's Mickey Jower, her name is. And with Edith Benner, Ethel Blankstein, Lee Stein, Marion Hahn, and my mother, of course, and one brother, Harry Cohen, and they're all gone.
So her maiden name was Cohen.
Cohen, right.
And what did they do on the south side?
My grandfather originally had a shoe repair store when they were growing up on National Avenue. And they grew up there on the south side. Then later on, he moved to the west side. And when I was a youngster, he started peddling with a truck, going out to the farmers and driving out to the farmers and selling shoes or a shirt. But I remember my grandma used to always holler when we came home. He never got any money. He used to trade him for a puppy or eggs or something. He wasn't a good businessman.
Did both of you grow up in Jewish neighborhoods?
Yeah, yes, we did. Jerry and I have known each other since we were probably 15 or 16 years old. We've been good friends.
Yeah.
We both went to the same. I went to different schools, grade schools. I think you went to Sherman.
Yeah, I went to Sherman and then Steuben.
Yeah, see, I went to Highmount and Steuben in Washington. But I was on the borderline. Clark Street was the borderline.
I see. Did either of you gentlemen go to college?
I went one semester of college and I quit. And I decided I wanted to go into retail business. I called my father up and said, I don't like college. He said, you don't like college? Come home, go to work. So that's what I did.
And how about you, Jerry?
When I graduated Washington High School, I was drafted in the Army in the Korean War. Probably 19... Well, no, when I graduated high school, I went to... I worked for Harley's. I was their first employee when Harley's opened their store on Oakland and Capitol, about 1948. And then I worked there 2 years, and then I was drafted into the Army, the Korean War. And then when I came out of the Army, my dad had a minor heart attack, and he asked me to come in the tavern with him. So I did go in the tavern with him.
How long were you in the Army?
2 years
Where did you serve?
in Korea.
And what type of work did you do in the Army?
In the Army, I was in the infantry, and then they sent me to cook school, and that I was a cook.
Were your cooking as good as your mother's?
No way, no way. Everyone still remembers my mother's cooking. My mother used to make root beer by hand. Yeah.
What was Jewish about the neighborhood in which you grew? First of all, where did each of you live? And what street when you were going to high school?
I lived on 49th and Clark, on the corner of 49th and Clark. And you took for granted most everybody was Jewish in that neighborhood. We could go to Guten's, which is a block away. You had Glussman's meat market, you could smell it in the summertime. Then I'm trying to think what else. There was Bernstein, had a little food store in the corner there.
How about bakery?
Oh, you had Miller Bakery was there, then Elbaum's in the next block.
There was Chicago Bakery.
Chicago Bakery also, you're right, that's the other bakery. Well, that was, it was a very Jewish neighborhood, and you just, you had mostly Jewish friends. I mean, in those days, you thought everybody in the world was Jewish, and that was it.
And where did you live, Jerry?
In 52nd and Hadley. I spent my grade school days there, my junior high school and my high school day, almost all my high school days there. And we lived next door to, it was my best friend, Harold Cohen, and his father was one of the Cohen brothers. They were manufacturers here in Milwaukee.
They made pants, right?
No, that was Weinschel made the pants.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's right.
Cohen Brothers made outerwear.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You're right.
Yeah.
They were on Clyburn.
Yes.
But I lived next door to them, and I do remember in 1939 they were the first family to have air conditioning in Milwaukee in their house, and I was so impressed. You know, at that time they had a little more money than everyone else, so they had an air conditioner in the garage, and they dug a trench through my backyard to go into their house. It's, I do remember that.
So they had central air conditioning.
Yes, yeah, and I remember it worked real well. All the hot days we spent in that house. It's, yeah, Harold Cohen died recently, but he was my best friend for 70 years. It's,
Did either or both of your families belong to synagogues?
We belonged to a synagogue. When I was growing up, we belonged to Bethel. When it was originally on Garfield, 49th and Garfield, then they moved. And after I got married, I joined Shalom. And after my wife died, I quit going to temple. I just quit. And I do not, at the present time, I do not belong to the temple.
Have you squared away with God yet, or?
Well, I'm all squared away. I think I'm squared away. I know what I believe in and what type of life I lead, but I just don't go to temple.
Jerry, how about you?
I grew up in Rabbi Twersky's temple on I'm going to say 10th or 11th, just south of North Avenue. That was his original temple. It's
That was in a home, right?
Yeah, they used to call it the Polish, not the Polish temple.
no,
But the Polish was there also.
the one in the home was a half a block away.
Oh, I see.
This was an actual.
Oh, that was
The one on the home.
the Russian temple when he was the rabbi at the Russian temple.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And the Polish temple was in a home.
Yeah, the Polish was, I used to go to Polish when I was a kid.
Yeah, half a block away. Now, whatever street that was, I'm not sure.
Oh, okay.
Probably near Brown.
I think that was Garfield.
Garfield or Brown, right around there, like 9th
Yeah.
or 8th or something.
Yeah, you're.
A rather large and imposing building.
Yes, it was.
And then later, Rabbi Twersky had Stiebel, a small congregation in his home. That was right in back of the American Linen Supply.
Oh, I know where you mean. Yes, yes. Right? Yeah. But you're older than I am, you remember.
Oh, well, you're a child.
I'm a child, yes.
You had a bar mitzvah, each of you?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And where was your bar mitzvah, Jerry?
My bar mitzvah was at Rabbi Twersky's temple, the one on Garfield. And after that, shortly after that, he moved and built a place on 54th and Center.
Correct,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. And my dad still belonged there, and we still used to go there. Then when I got married, I belonged to Beth Israel on Sherman Boulevard. And then we moved to the east side, and I joined Temple Shalom.
No, Beth Israel was on Titonia, wasn't that?
No,
That's
you mean
the
Bethel.
original.
Bethel.
Oh, Bethel.
Bethel.
Yeah, right.
And no, where was your bar mitzvah?
My bar mitzvah was at Bethel on 49th and Garfield, and after that, not like the bar mitzvahs today, we had a reception in the house. I remember my father brought a counter from home with my grandpa, and they set up little schnapps on the porch and stuff, and my mother and my grandma made a couple cakes, that was it. It's a different than the bar mitzvah parties today. No bands those days.
Did either of you, both of you receive a Jewish education?
I said I was bar mitzvah, but there was very little. My father was never a really religious man. Neither was my mother. They went to temple and that, but that was, and my grandparents, I think, were not very religious either, because they lived upstairs from us. So consequently, I mean, the only Jewish education I had was going to temple myself and doing whatever kind of reading we did, or just living the life of a Jewish life.
How about you, Jerry?
I went to Garfinkel's Hebrew School on 53rd and Center.
Well, you went to a classy one.
Yeah,
I went to
yeah.
Melrod's on 49th, so he was a little less expensive.
Well, Garfinkel was next to the Dworkin's hardware store,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I saw him like working last night.
Okay.
Oh,
That's his grandparents.
Yeah.
Or
No,
his
his mother.
parents.
His
yes.
parents.
His mother.
Because his dad died very young. His mother ran that. You're right.
when I was going to Garfinkel's, you talk about the Dworkins, I remember him dying. And I was just, 11, 12 years old, and that still stays in my mind. He was probably one of the first people I knew that had passed away. So I still remember that.
Now, both of you were intimately involved in Goldmann's department store, which is really an institution in Milwaukee. And first of all, could you give us a background of the store, perhaps even before you two became involved, and then explain the whole development? Because what is going to happen to Goldmann's very shortly before we go on?
Well, Goldman's will be closed at the end of September, but that's the negative. But the positive is that there's going to be another retail store in its place. It won't be a Goldman's. It's supposed to be called the Goldmann Building, but the main reason we look for a number of years to find a buyer for the store, because this is not a job for either one of us. It's a passion. I mean, that store, I've been my whole life there, day and night. My father worked there, everybody worked, my whole family worked at that store, so it's not just a building. I mean, it's very important to me. And we wanted it to make sure there's something on that corner of 10th and Mitchell, not just an empty store. So we found this gentleman who we sold the building to, who was going to put a retail store. It won't be another Goldman's, because nobody wants to run it the way we ran it. And I'll explain that.
Why don't we, excuse me, before we get into the detail how you ran it, could you give us some history? Because it's very important, the history of Milwaukee, generally and in the Jewish community.
Goldman's was started in 1896 on the same corner as now, on 10th and Mitchell, by Abraham Goldmann. Abraham Goldmann had two sons, Leo and Leopold. And they started, and that's where I remember Leo Goldmann. I don't remember Leo at all. They ran Goldman's for many years. Then they had their sons ran it, and their grandchildren ran it. And after a while, after so many deaths in the Goldman family, it got split up in so many ways, so many errors, that started in 1986. Alan Goldman, who was the managing partner then, he came to us. Remember, he said, we're going to move, we're going to close up.
Yeah.
And so and first, Jerry and I, first we wanted to stay on the street, so we were going to look for a building and buy a building on the street. And then we got the idea, which people thought we were nuts, is let's buy the store. So
Could you explain, before we get into the technicalities, the nature of the store, the nature of the product, the customers, and so forth?
the stores, first of all, Goldman sells, it's more than a retail store. Again, it sells, its customers are very important to them, and they handle everything that you'd want. They used to say if you can't find it at any place else, you find it at Goldman's. We handle odd items. Like even today we sell like flour sack towels. People come from all over, and they wipe their dishes on it with no lint. And babushkas, and candy, of course, we handle for candy raisins, we get fresh all the time. But we sell different kind of merchandise. We specialize in hard to find and hard to fit items. Like in Goldman's, I'm a petite. We handle pants up to size 72-inch waist. And we handle bras that are big enough to, I used to say, cover the domes. So, and people come from all over to see that merchandise. But besides the merchandise, the families would come in that store for years and years, because that predominantly was a Polish neighborhood when I started there. The whole area was almost all owner occupied. Every home was well kept. There was flowers, and we knew most of the people. You could take a walk on Mitchell Street, you said hello to everybody. And there was a lot of Jewish merchants on that street at that time. There was a number of but I think today we're the only Jewish merchant left on the street, one or two of them.
I think so,
not many else left on that street. But and after we bought the store, we wanted to run it like Goldman's, but a little bit better. And by that I mean we still handle we're too big for a big store, and too small for or too small store. So because we handle 47 employees in the store, it's a lot of people for a small. So they wait on customers. People come to Goldman's, they feel very comfortable. Jerry and I know not most of them, but great majority of people by name.
Sure.
We know their families. They come in, a lot of them will call up, hello, Milt or Jerry, I'm going to need something for my kid's wedding. I need a size 52 suit or whatever have you. Yeah, come on down, we have it. I mean, it's a very comfortable feeling. To me, it's not like going to work. I really enjoy what I do. So that's why I'm not people who say, are you looking forward to retirement? I said, no, it just dawned on me, I'm retiring, I don't want to retire.
How large is the store?
The store is about 50,000 square feet on 3 levels.
You have a basement and
Basement, 2 floors, and a balcony.
And what kind of departments do you have in the store?
Well, we'll start from the basement and work up.
Okay.
In the basement, we have housewares, dishes, knives, fork, cleaning supplies. We have carpet, not full room, but large carpet and luggage, and mostly any kind of gadgets and gadgets for the house you'd want. And on the main floor, we have that's Jerry's baby. Is the men's department. We have men's suits, men's shirts, ties, anything a man would want to wear is on one side. From socks to hats, everything, in all sizes and all colors.
Do you still sell a lot of hats?
Hats are coming back. We do a lot of African American business today on the south side. Our whole customer base has changed, so consequently the colors in the men's suits are vibrant reds, mint greens, beautiful colors for ladies, but they're very popular. And in the suits and the shirts the same way. Men's shirts have different color, and the collar, bright solid color collar, a striped bottom, matching tie. That's on one side of the men's department. The other side is our women's lingerie department. That's a very busy department. They handle items that people come from all over. If you need Snuggies, we got Snuggies. Those are very popular, and they have different size underwear. Our best size, we're selling out all of the large size. Super size are very popular in underwear and in bras and in hosiery. Then alongside that is the ladies' sportswear department, which again specializes in sportswear, but regular size and big sizes.
Does Jerry do the buying for that?
Jerry does the buying for the men's department.
Oh,
The ladies' department is that's my business. The ladies' bras and panties, that's mine.
Jerry, do you buy it from regular sources to get these odd sizes?
I buy from regular sources, and then they have resources that are specialties. They go up into like a 10X sweatshirt, a size 72 pants, 72 belt. You do have to know where to get that type of merchandise. Shirts, we go up to a 24 neck.
It's bigger than most people's waist. But, excuse me, but it's getting to be, at one time, the big size business is getting to be big all over. I mean, it's a pun on words, but every store is going to large sizes. We're, as a society, we're getting larger, but we've always been in the big size business in that store. And of course, you stop me on the main floor. We also have two of our departments we didn't talk about yet. Our Goldmann's famous diner, it has about 45 stools there. We have 3 horseshoe counters, which we do home cooking. We do our own bakery there, and they make very good food. And I do quality control, as you can tell. And next to that, the candy part. We sell mostly bulk candy. Like candy raisins are very popular. Bulk chocolate of all different kinds. Any kind of hard-to-find candy you used to find when you were a kid in the candy stores, we tried to handle.
And what do you have on the second floor?
On the way up, we got on the balcony first. We got up at the balcony. We have the lamp department. The electrical department, we sell lamps and lampshades. Lampshades are very popular. I never realized people are always changing their lampshades. By me, a lampshade is a lampshade, but everyone wants to change their lampshades. And then we go up to the second floor. We have a fabric department on one side of the store, which we sell upholstery fabric. It used to be a lot bigger business today, because today we're in a throwaway society. People buy a couch and they don't recover it anymore. One time they recovered everything. But we still do a lot of upholstery business, dress fabric business, window shades, and what's called dressmaking material. People do all sewing it. And of course, arts and crafts and yarn and crafts.
Do you have customers who still make their own garments?
Absolutely. And the other side, we have our infants department with some cute little stuff. When you get your new grandbaby, you got the cute stuff.
I got it on layaway already.
You get a bargain on it. And we have our school uniform department, which we do school uniforms for over 100 schools. And we try to keep each, because every school is a little different. We carry a big inventory. Now that we're going out of business, we had to cut that inventory down because there was a big expense going there, but we still have a lot of school uniforms. We're prepared for this fall for service most of the schools, give them the right color uniform and such. And we contact most of the schools, and we send them a little discount card, send them cards, we send them a little menu of what we have, and we try to keep in contact with the schools to find out what changes they're making.
So when you two gentlemen decided to acquire the store, did you make any changes?
Well, the number one change, when we bought the store, again, people said, you're not going to last a year. Because I think we're both very good salesmen, but never ran a store. I mean, you're running 45 people. We used to run a store the way we were brought up. And Goldmann, even though it's old-fashioned, they kept very good books. Now they're all on computer. We computerized everything. But when we bought the store, everything were these big ledgers, all handwritten. Everything was handwritten. So, and I still have those ledgers in the office.
Well, I was going to say, where are those ledgers?
Some of them are in the store, and some of them are packed away in our storeroom. But we transferred everything onto the computers.
Would you be interested in transferring those to the archives or to the museum here?
We'd love to.
Because this is really a very important part of the history of Milwaukee.
We'd love. We have a lot of old ledgers, all handwritten ledgers, and a lot of old pictures there yet.
Do you have records going back to the founding of the store?
No, we do not.
Oh, you
When
don't.
I bought it from the Goldmann family, I asked them if they wanted to keep that. They said, they just left. We scavenged through and found out what we could about the store. And, remember when we leased the department, we were quote, the outsiders of the store. They were the bosses, and we came in, did our job, went in the back door, came in our job, and left the back door. We weren't privy to the office meetings or how the store was run. So buying Goldman's for us was a new learning experience. It was like going back to school. Because I spent many hours behind the accountant sitting and then watching what he's doing, because I like to understand what's going on. Because, now they use the term is open to buy. Years ago, Jerry and I bought till we ran out of money, then we stopped buying. Then we knew we had enough. But then it doesn't work that way. So we had to get used to running the business a new way.
But you managed to eat.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Did you eat pretty well?
As you can tell, look at we did very well.
Well, when you took over, what changes did you make, if any?
Very, very minimal changes. We changed the hours a little bit. They were open till original hours at Goldman's was Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Saturday. We went just at that time to Monday and Friday till 8 o'clock, and now we're not open any nights. We're open from 10. We start 10 till 6 p.m. We cut the hours down. We're open the first Sunday of every month, and Goldman's never was open on Sunday. We were open we started opening up the first Sunday of the month because at that time there was more money out. The checks were out the first of the month, so people went to go shopping. Most retail stores are open 7 days a week, every day, and we cut our hours down only because our health is very important to us. It really is. They have families to take care of too, so you can't expect everybody to work all the time.
How many, let's direct this to Jerry now. Have you employees that have worked there a long time?
Oh yeah, we've had employees that are there 15, 18, 20, 22 years, and we do value their friendship. They're not so much employees as they become friends. You see them every day, you know about their families. You've been to their families' weddings, funerals. You know when they have grandchildren. It's more like a family.
And what's going to happen to these people when the store closes?
Well, we are trying to find them jobs. Milt is more in charge of that with our operations manager. But Milt, you've contacted a number of...
We've contacted outside companies who are interested. In fact, we had an appointment set up today, which I had to cancel. We're bringing them in there. They're interview a couple companies. One is Home Depot is interested, and we interview our people in our offices in our time, and hopefully find them jobs. I've contacted a few other people in retail businesses to help them find jobs. In fact, to show how important the employees are to us, anybody in retail business thinks we're insane for closing October 1st, getting out. They say, why not stay till January, February 1st? And the decision was made because February 1st, our employees couldn't find a job. It's tough to find a job. October 1st, they hopefully with the holiday season, most of them will be able to find jobs. That was the main reason we picked out, we're closing 3 months earlier.
Well, how about reducing your inventory, though? How does that going to work?
Well, people, we're doing we're not odd going out of business here. We didn't load up at this store. A lot of merchants load up for the store. They bring in, there's companies that sell going out of business stuff, and they load up. And the decision was made, we ran the store for 20 years. Jerry and I ran for 20 years, and they're a lot longer. But the store has always been run with integrity and honesty. And that's the way, I ran the store that way, that's the way we want to leave. So this going out of business is not about making money as much as getting rid of the merchandise the best we can without loading up with stuff. We're running sales. We'll reduce the price of inventory. And, you know, what we're left with, we're left with it. If we have to liquidate it, whatever, because this going out, it's not a happy time. You know, even some people say congratulations going out of business. It's a very bittersweet thing. It's hard for me personally to get used to thinking after October 1, I won't get my car and drive to 10th and Mitchell. I've been going there forever. My car will probably start up by itself and go there.
What are you going to do about your school uniforms?
Well, school uniforms, they'll be sold. We'll run a sale on them before, because school business usually starts around August 1st. That's because people buy school uniforms. So I have 2 months, 8 weeks to get rid of. In 8 weeks, I can get rid of the merchandise. I hope.
Do you have any plans for your retirement?
Yeah, I'd like to find a real job. I would like to. I don't want to retire. I'm too hyper. In fact, I'm talking to people who are buying our building. I told them I'd like to work for them. I'd like to stay on the same street, in the same corner. I told them I'd be happy to work for them, and we're discussing it.
How about you, Jerry?
I have absolutely no plans on what I'm going to do. This really came up so sudden. I thought, you know, I've been there 50 years. I thought I'd be there my whole life. But it came up so sudden. I have no plans. I will stay very, very active in doing something. But I really just am going to get on to the next phase of my life.
See, we both felt, we knew we wanted to sell for 5 years. Every time the deal fell through, we were happy, okay?
Yeah.
You understand? I found the reason to throw a monkey wrench in the deal. And I think the main reason we both wanted to get out is I happen to have 2 children, Jerry has 2 children. I didn't want something happened to me. I didn't want my children to be left with a headache. And it would be a headache, because if you don't run the store, it'd be a headache. And that's one of the main reasons I want to get out now. I would rather walk out. I always say I want to make a deal standing up, not laying down. And we'd rather walk out with strength, with our head up high, than get dragged out. So that was the reason we decided to go out in a nice way. And I think we're running a going out business sale in a classy way. We're going out in a nice way, and we don't have to be ashamed of anything or any way we ran the business.
Now, for these last 20 years, did you actually work on the floor, or were you executives?
Well, we both worked on the floor. Jerry still works on the floor. I worked on the floor up to 5 years ago in the men's department. We both worked in the men's department. And 5 years ago, I had a problem with the controller. I fired the controller, and I became the controller. So I wasn't planning on being up in the office. I've been up in the office for 5 years.
But you're hands-on, Jerry?
I'm hands-on, and I even built an office right in the men's clothing area so I could stay there, so I wouldn't have to move out of the...
That's good. I didn't want him upstairs with me. That's the reason.
That's why we still get along.
I didn't want him so close.
We each have our own things we do. Milt runs the store. I run the complete men's area. And it's just time. Like you take a ball player or a boxer, he stays around too long.
We look at ball players or boxers. What a simile.
That's a good example. but they stay around past their time. We know it's time.
Do you gentlemen have hobbies?
No, that's what scares me and everybody else. Yeah. I have my children, my friends say, your hobby was work. My hobby was Goldman's. I lived and breathed it. On the day off, I'd go there sometimes, work in the office.
How about you, Jerry?
Nope, I have no hobbies. During my time at Goldman's, I did have a boat. I was a boater, but that is past. So right now, I have no hobbies. But I will find something to do. I'll just start the next phase of my life. So.
I'll tell you what I'd like to do. I'm computer illiterate, but I'm going to take a computer. I'm going to learn. I'm going to take a computer class. That I made up my mind. I'm computer illiterate, but I want to do that. And that will get boring, I'm sure. but I'll do that. And also, if I can't find a job, I'll do some volunteer work, because I don't want to retire to the couch. That's the last thing in the world I want to do.
What type of volunteer work would you like to do?
Anything to help people. I like to, maybe you could do some advisory from business advisor, maybe something like that.
How about you, Jerry?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what I want to do. I will be very, very active. If there was some way I could teach business, but then I'm from the old school. I would teach it the old way, not on computers. On computers, I play solitaire very well. So,
Each of you has been intimately involved in the life of Milwaukee. What do you see as a present and a future for the Jewish community? Why don't you start, Jerry? For the city itself.
for the city itself, boy, I guess, see, I have never been really active in the Jewish community. I have supported it, but I have never been active. And I may consider being active in it. And maybe, you know, I still get the Jewish Chronicle. I think everyone does. And it's a lot of the things that people do have become very interesting. So I may devote some time to the Jewish community.
How do you see the health of the community at present and in the future compared to your life experience?
I see there's the future will be like the past. They will keep building, keep progressing. You have a lot of intelligent, very wealthy people in the community.
Milt, what do you think?
Well, I think the Jewish community is strong in Milwaukee. I think it's going to get stronger. I mean, first of all, how things have changed in the past. Today, you walk around, you're proud that you can be proud to be Jewish. And when you were a youngster, sometimes you kept your mouth shut. I remember when I was in the Army, I was the only Jewish guy in the whole company at that particular time. So I did, on Christmas and the holidays, I did the KP, but I did KP all the time, though. But you didn't, because what struck me even that time, after being in service for 2 years, after a year and a half, and we lived in tents, I saw a fellow which I didn't know was Jewish in our own tent. I saw his dog tags laying there, and I saw the H on him. And I said to him, I said, "You're Jewish, why didn't you say so?" He said, "Never mind." I still remember that. Yeah, but today, I think the Jewish community is strong, and I think it's going to get stronger. First of all, it's the good leaders. Besides the leaders, I mean, there's so many things to be proud of being Jewish today, whether it be of Israel or whether it be here. And I just think it's going to grow. I mean, how can I put this? When I was a kid, when you were a kid, there was pockets. You lived in a Jewish pocket, really, and everybody was Jewish. Everybody lived the same spot. Then they moved on. Today it's all over. People live all over, and you talk about things more openly than you did years ago.
You mentioned your Army experience.
Yeah.
You hadn't told us before about that. Where did you serve?
I was right here. I was in chemical corps. I stayed right here in the United States, but I was assigned to the Atomic Energy Commission for a while. I saw about 14 bombs go off in Nevada when they were testing them in a place called Mercury, Nevada. Those days they were testing atomic bomb, and I think we were the guinea pigs. We were sent in with a Geiger counter and a film badge and a dosimeter. And if you heard it click, click, clicking, you know you're getting too close. You'd walk the other way.
That was during the Korean War?
Yes. Jerry and I were both in about the same time, but I used to correspond with him.
Yeah, quite a bit.
Have either one of you visited Israel?
No, I have not.
Have you, Jerry?
No, I have not. It's like Milt. We've stayed in the store our whole lives. It's devoted our lives to the store. So now I'm going to do some traveling. I will be there.
What thing are you most proud of as an individual?
I'm most proud of how I lived my life. In my mind, I know I lived a good life. I lived an honest life. I was fair to everybody. Everybody's fair to me. I'm very proud of the fact I have a lot of good friends, and I have good friends because you treated everybody honestly and fairly. And I'm very proud of the integrity with which I ran my life and my business.
How about you, Jerry?
I feel much the same way. I'm proud of the way I raised my children. I'm proud of there's so many people I've helped, I've become good friends with. I really have nothing to be ashamed of. I can walk anywhere and hold my head high. I'm really proud of that.
In your early years, and as you developed in business and in the service, did either of you run into any anti-Semitic incidents personally?
Yes, as a kid, you hear other kids that were in the neighborhood. I still remember them saying, "Oh, there's a dirty Jew there," and you'd fight back and you'd call them names. I have to say, in my whole experience in the Army, I ran into no anti-Semitism.
How about school?
School, truthfully, not that I remember, because you stayed amongst your friends. Your friends are all Jewish.
No? Did you experience any anti-Semitism?
Well, I think there's always some. I remember one, right after I got married, we were looking for a place to live. And for some, why, I don't know, my wife, rest her soul, she wanted to, we looked at a place she saw, it was in Wauwatosa, I'll never forget. So I went to, it was like 107 there, or I forgot what, but I remember 100. So I looked at the house, and it looked very, very lovely house, and the real estate guy said, "What's your name?" I told him. He was like, and give me a nod. He said, "I don't think you'd be happy here." I said, "What do you mean by that?" I knew what he meant. I said, "What do you mean by that?" He said, "I don't think you'd be happy here." He said, "Why don't you go read the names on the rest of the mailboxes down the street?" So I read them, and I said, "We're not interested." But I remember that. But was there anti-Semitism? Even in service, you heard a remark. Not much. In high school, you heard remarks. You hear remarks all the time. I don't think you hear that at all. I don't hear it at all anymore. And very, very little. And you mentioned Jerry in high school. Of course, there wasn't much anti-Semitism. We both went to Washington, and at that time it was predominantly a Jewish school.
Is there anything that either one of you would like to talk about that hasn't been raised in this discussion? This is your chance to say anything that you'd really like to say.
Well, let's see. Well, I can say I'm proud to be Jewish, even though I don't belong to the temple. I'm proud to be Jewish, and I'm really proud of Milwaukee and the Jewish community. I think they did a lot of great things in this town. Besides being a pretty area, it's a beautiful area. I mean, they've done a lot of nice things, and hopefully, if I have some time, more free time, I'll get more involved. And like Jerry said before, being in a retail business, one reason we weren't active in Temple, we had to work all the time. Those days, we had almost all Jewish help, if you remember, and they took off,
Yeah.
but we had to work.
Someone had to be
They
there.
wouldn't close the store. When I was growing up, my father owned the store. He could put a key in and lock the door. The Goldmann family, they owned the store. They didn't lock the store. So we had to work, so that's what happened. But that's about it.
What about you, Jerry? Anything?
I'm also proud, very proud of being Jewish. I'm going to stay in Milwaukee. I love Milwaukee. I love the Jewish community here. They have done so much. No, I just plan on staying in Milwaukee.
Do either of you plan to do any traveling?
Well, I'm gonna take a little vacation after we close. My lady friend and I, we always go to Door County in October and go, and then also, I like to go to Mexico, a place called Huatuco, Mexico. We've been there for the last couple of years. I want to spend the week, I just love it, they're very lovely. And hopefully, I don't want to spend a lot of, my whole life traveling, because you have to stay someplace. But I'd like to look forward to a few vacations and see if I can learn how to relax.
Where do you stay in Door County?
I stay in Egg Harbor in a place called the Ashbrook. It was very lovely. I like it there. It's no smoking and no children.
Do you travel, Jerry?
Yes, I have always traveled with both my wives. We have been, to Mexico, to Europe. I love going to Europe. I will continue to travel. I'm not sure where, I'm not sure when, but I will travel. I love to travel.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you.